Hey guys, this is Shane, Ideas Exchange, and today on the Red Line podcast, we got Martin MacArthur on the show, the Outbound Sales Guy from Ottawa, Canada. And again, we're going to be talking about our journey beyond $1 million in revenue as business owners, some of the things that we've learned along the way, some of the things that we would encourage this audience to do if they were thinking about starting their business or becoming an independent contractor and work for themselves. So without further ado, before anything, please like, subscribe to this video and channel and put the notifications on. And I'll hand it over to Martin to make the formal introduction. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate being on and sharing some wisdom or some nonsense to your audience.
Awesome. Tell me a
So,
little bit about yourself.
for sure. So, first off, I'd like to let everyone know that I'm totally blind. I was diagnosed at a very young age with what's called juvenile retinitis pigmentosa, and been using various forms of accessible technologies since middle school. So, be really interested in technology and how I can kind of break it and be harsh to providers or founders, co-founders of different technologies, and let them know how accessible or unaccessible their product is. So that's one area, and the other is in 2020, I founded the Outbound Sales Guy, which is a outsourced sales development agency helping early stage to series funded, although seems to be more early stage companies build and execute repeatable, repeatable and predictable outbound sales motions, outbound sales engines. As a lot of folks can probably appreciate, one of the toughest roles for a company, doesn't matter the size, industry, vertical, etc., is top of funnel, speaking with prospects, getting them interested, getting them excited, and ultimately booking them into a meeting. So it's something I've been doing since around 2009, 2010. And it's something that I really enjoy, really excel at, and get really passionate and excited about each day, and getting to learn something new about a new company, a new product, and how I can possibly help that individual get in front of more people.
What do you think is the hardest thing about being in sales in 2023?
I would say that one of the most challenging things sales in 2023 is noise. Really, as a consumer, whether it's business to consumer, business to business, we're inundated with so much noise, whether it's on social, whether it's on TV, whether it's direct mail, cold calls, what have you. There's so much noise, and there's people are busier and busier, and I think with kind of finally being over and people getting back to some normalcy, they're also kind of they ex- from being in COVID, they expect things to be kind of like this on demand, ready solution right now. Like that, I want this now, and I want it delivered to me now in the way I want it. So that's kind of, I think, the challenge for a salesperson right now.
Have you ever watched that comedy show with what's his name is Chan something Chan, and he's talking about what the message is. Everybody wants everything now. Like
Yeah.
you got Amazon Prime, which is 24-hour delivery. We used to have 7 to 14 days. Now we've got 24 hours. Now August is a shop in the UK that does it. You got same day. You've got
Yes.
Amazon same day. And then he was saying eventually we're going to have Amazon now.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
just
I
click a
believe
button
that.
and you get it now, or you have Amazon yesterday. He said they're going to give it to you before you even think about it.
Yeah. But like you think about it, you can, whether it's a product, whether it's food, whatever, right? Like you can have it at your doorstep within 30 minutes.
It's true.
And people want that experience. Like they want that instantaneous, okay, I go to your website. I don't want to be bogged down with trying to navigate 30,000 different options and tasks. I just want what I want and I want it now.
Yep. I want a client right now. I want to pay you nothing.
Yep.
And then I want you to do 6 or 7 months of hard work that we are not able to do and we don't know how to do.
Yep.
And I don't want to pay for it. I want to pay for it after. I want to
Yep.
pay for it when I
And
get the work
if you
done.
don't give me the results today or by the end of next month or
I'm
whatever,
taking you to court.
yeah, exactly. Like we're done, right? And it's like, well, okay, so you want me to create magic and you're currently struggling with it? Okay.
Mate, I absolutely hate it. Like, all right, so I was working with this guy, and he introduced me to one of his contacts. The first contact he introduced me to is absolute dynamite. Absolute dynamite. Guy was so nice, clued up, spoke to him about the things we do. And he got it. And like I helped him see a different way. Like I'm not just one of these sleazy sales guys. I actually consider what people want to do. And I put myself in their shoes and he was great. And then I met another guy and this other guy, I've learned it. And it's typically people that have deep pockets. The moment I got on the call, I felt that sense of, and it's such an uncomfortable, distinct feeling. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you're in the room with somebody or you're on a call with somebody and you know that that person thinks that they're better than,
Oh yeah.
or that they're above you,
Yep.
or that they have some sort of authority over you. And we're having the phone call, and it's about, okay, what are you interested in looking at? Well, we're interested in your private network events. Okay, cool. What is it that you'd like to know? Um, and immediately the pushback was, let's take a step back for a second, and let me ask you some questions. I want to ask you some questions. So I said, okay, go ahead, shoot. And we got into a bit of a conversation back and forth, and he got into the networking events, and then he said he's tried some sort of outbound, but it didn't work too well. And they are interested in that too. And I said, okay, well, like, what kind of budget do you have for that? And he said, I don't want to speak about money yet.
Mhm.
And
That
again,
tends to be a bit of a red flag.
exactly. And for me, and then I said, okay, fine. I'll step back for a second. Tell me what it is that you'd like to know. And he went further into detail that he has one guy who he pays on performance, and that fucking pisses me off. I get so annoyed when people say pay for performance. Like it
Yeah.
really fucking annoys me. And so he led with that, and I said, okay, that's great. Like carry on with him then. I don't know really how I can help you. And he said, well, no, we're interested in the dining events. And I said, okay, well, how much money do you have to spend on them? Because they're not cheap.
Yeah.
And then he pushed back again, and I said, you know what? Look, I don't think it's a good call. I really don't. And he goes, well, it seems to me like you don't have an interest. I'm interested in buying these. And I said, well, you are quite
Obviously you're
difficult,
not.
and I'm not interested in speaking to people like you. And he said, seems like you got a lot of clients. You don't need the business. It's not about that. I do not give a fuck who you are. I don't care that you have money. I've dealt with people who have lots of money. And the second they become difficult about doing business, I don't want to do business with them.
Yeah,
No, thank you.
to me that's a red flag, and it's some like for me when I'm speaking to prospects, and I posted about this quite a bit on LinkedIn as well.
Hmm.
When you're meeting with a prospect, there's a couple things taking place. One of which is they're qualifying you, and you're qualifying them. So
Yeah.
in fact, you should also be they're also disqualifying you, and you should be doing the same thing. So, like, if you and I met, right? Let's say you and I met, we're looking either way, right? We're looking at each other's solution, how you can help me or how I can help you, vice versa. But we find out, okay, hey, like, we only have a X number of dollars to spend on this offering, and you're like, well, perfect, but it costs 3 times this to work with us. Okay. Well, now you've been able to quickly qualify, but also disqualify a prospect because now you're like, okay, well, why do we need to keep going down the conversation path or qualification path if you've already just said you only have this amount to spend or whatever that the objection or challenge might be, right? Like, why would you keep
Hmm.
on trying to get that person to purchase when ultimately they've told you, hey, or they've either have told you or you have determined, hey, this is not a good fit. Let's just move on, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. Like
Mhm.
there's no there shouldn't be any hard feelings. I always tell somebody if it's not a fit, I'm gonna be upfront with them. I'm gonna be like, to be quite honest with you, Shane, I don't feel I can best support you in this manner.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe there's someone in my network that I can introduce you to that's better suited, or
Yeah.
maybe we need to circle back on this in like next quarter or in a couple months, right? Like, and I feel especially at an individual contributor level, there's not enough of that recognition because they're afraid of missing their quota. They're
Mhm.
afraid of reprimand, whatever the case might be. So they're just, well, okay, well, let's get you into the pipeline and get you over a proposal and try and close you, right? Instead of just being
Mhm.
like having the balls to say, hey, okay, it's not a good fit. Let's move on.
Yeah, look, I think qualification and qualifying harder and disqualifying harder are really some of the key points in sales because it's like Bumble and Tinder. If you're swiping on these profiles and you carry on swiping right, as in like you want to accept them, or you carry on swiping left because you just everything is bad, you never get that algorithm to work in in your favor towards your selection process in choosing the right people. And my old business partner was very big on this. Like, I don't want to pick clients that are bad for us. And there were times where business was so hard that we had to take on the client. And you take on that client, and then it becomes an absolute nightmare, like absolute nightmare.
And even though you
Um,
wanted the revenue and you wanted the business, it's like, well, why did we take that on?
Exactly, and sometimes that's the hard truth about sales and being a business owner is you have to do things that they're not illegal, but you don't want to do them, and the learning that you get from it accelerates your experience, in my opinion. The amount of failure that I've had in my life that has accelerated my learning. So I know every time to put something in front of a problem before it becomes that problem, as I've gone through it, has made a profound difference on the way I operate throughout my career. And again, like just how it relates to disqualification itself, getting rid of the wrong people, the time wasters, they sometimes think I'm arrogant or I may be disrespectful. I try not to be. I'm just very direct in saying, look, like you sound like you're going to be a fucking pain in the ass to deal with. And I don't want to work with you. I'd rather save myself the headache. I'd rather
Yep.
save myself the fucking pain and the stress of then they become difficult with paying their bill on time.
Well,
Then you
that's
message
the
them.
thing, right? Like, well,
Yep.
so now it comes time for invoicing, and
Yep.
they've gone dark, or they're not, they're disputing. Well, no, it needs to be this amount instead of that amount. And like, why the fuck did I bother taking this on? Like, it's just turned
It's
into a
true.
complete nightmare. So why did I take that on?
Understand.
And you take it on because maybe you've had a slower month or quarter than you anticipated, and it's like, yeah, maybe I should take this client on because it's gonna bring in this no this amount of revenue, but then it's like, "Oh, fuck, what did I do?" Because I did that. I did that my first year. I took on a client. I came from a connection of mine, like, so it was a referral. Um, and like the guy, he seemed really excited up front, and it seemed like it could be a good opportunity. But then once everything was signed off on, we were getting ready to go live. It was just one nightmare after the other and then he ended up, he didn't sue me, but he ended up taking his payment back through Stripe. I'm like, whoa, 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 like what the fuck are you trying to do here? So I went through the proper channels within Stripe to, and made my case, and I ended up winning the case with Stripe. So I got all the money back, but, um,
Yeah.
it was a humongous lesson, right, in for me in identifying, okay, don't make that big, don't even though that generated X number of revenue for you,
Mm.
don't partner with someone like that again, because
Oh man,
it
telling
was
me.
just they had no respect for me, right? For starters.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then secondly, because things didn't go the way they expected or the way they wanted, they felt that they were entitled not to pay me, and that's not, to me, that's not right.
Man, I absolutely hate people who do that. One time, one of our clients, I told this outbound gig as a sale to the service, I would not recommend anybody get into this. Right now, I would never recommend anybody get into this because unless you have the best lawyer, the best contract terms, the best payment software, where that day there is nothing, absolutely nothing that stops your money from arriving. If you can create that, you'll be a fucking millionaire.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for
in the
sure.
case, in that case of like just the client, it was a couple of days before Christmas, and the client, we asked the client, "Where's the payment?" They said, "What payment?"
Oh boy.
And I was just like, "Oh my god!" And I told my, I told my PA, "Can you check up on this and see if he'll respond to you?" He like bitched her out. Then I called him and he cursed me out. Then my business partner called him and he told him what he was going to pay, which was £10,000 less on the whole contract, which reduced every payment by £3,000.
Oh my.
And this was a couple of days before Christmas. I had to tell the team we're not getting our full salaries before Christmas because of this
Wow.
guy. That was a nightmare, right? So that like these are some of the things that the reality, that the actual nitty gritty stuff that people don't tell you. Everybody wants to tell you how glamorous it is and learning experience, but
Exactly.
people need to
How they're
know
renting
about
in
the
the
raw truth.
yachts and Ferraris, and
It's
they're
all bullshit.
generating millions of revenue. Yeah, okay, well,
Yeah, right.
that's nonsense.
It
Come
is.
on,
It's not real.
get real. Yeah,
So if you were to, because there's two things I wanted to cover. Is
yeah.
one thing that you would like, one thing I'm really trying to strive towards is if the saying, if I knew what I knew today, 10 years ago, as a 26-year-old man, 25-year-old man, even an 18-year-old, if an 18-year-old had my skills or your skills, business owner skills, business acumen, like professionalism to a degree that you are respected by many, who know you, not the profession you represent, what would you tell them? Right? What would you tell yourself 20 years ago? This is what you got to do in life, and you will be invincible. What would you tell yourself? Your 20 years ago, what would you tell yourself? How would you become invincible and do the right things with sales in mind?
With sales of mine. So first off, be very patient. You know, and this is something that I've improved on, but I'm also working on getting better at, because
Mhm.
I do become very patient, right? And like, if let's say I send
Mhm.
a contract or a proposal to somebody, and let's say, okay, we agreed that it's gonna close tomorrow, right? And it
Mhm.
doesn't. I'm thinking in my head, well, shit. Okay, now they're going in a different direction.
Mhm.
Um, they got a better price. They don't want to do this. What, a whole bunch of other crap that's going on. But in actual fact, it could simply come down to timing. They don't, something else came up, whether it's work or personal, and this got put on the back burner. Doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen to your timeline. So I think that you really need to develop a lot of patience. That's the first thing. Second is resiliency. Because like, in outbound, um, or sales in general, right? Like, you're gonna hear so many rejections, objections, no's, go away, fuck off, it's like whatever it is, right? Um,
Mhm.
you're gonna have opportunities that are turned down. That you're gonna question, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right track? All this other crap. So stay resilient. Like, you trust that you know what you're doing. Yeah, you don't know everything, right? That's a part of
Yep.
maturation and evolution, right? Evolving over
Yep.
time, but stay resilient and trust that that you're on the right path, and things will eventually work themselves out, and you'll make fewer and fewer mistakes, but also the mistakes that you make, learn from them because they can be super valuable um, down the road.
Okay. So that's a great one. And do you know how many times I say it? Like, just mistakes, encourage mistakes, reward mistakes, but reward the behavior of understanding the solution to prevent those mistakes as well. I think that's huge. So the the theme of the podcast, I'm trying to do something where I also get a bit of structure, because the first 10 episodes, we just kind of talked about anything. We had a few great guests. My business partner, Antoine, has left the show. And then Paul is expecting a baby, so he's going to be on pause for a while too. So now it's just me, and I'm going to be getting my guests on. And like I said, the main theme is like, what got you into sales? What's your journey been like? What's kind of one lesson that you would teach or give away to the audience so that they can like really progress their lives forward? And then the point of me and you getting on this call was about basically it's my way of getting a sales hack, and that sales hack in front of people if you're able to share it and you're open to sharing it. But we spoke about Apollo, which is a new
Yep.
tool that I'm using, an all-in-one solution, and it's fucking incredible. And I'm using it. I'm getting data from it. I've already achieved a 0.09 to like, multiply by 109% conversion on my LinkedIn messages from the first list I built, which it was 1 out of 11 messages, and I took attendee to one of. So we want to share a sales hack or two on the tool Apollo, and then obviously what we.
Yeah. So, Apollo, I'm a huge champion of. With Apollo, what I'm finding myself is I use their power dialer because, as
Yeah.
I mentioned, I use a screen reader. It works. It, I like to test different tools, and so forth, and let people, obviously it's a very specific use case, but I like to let them know,
Hmm.
hey, this works well or it doesn't. And Apollo for the majority works very well, but I do find their dialer is a little clunky. So what I like to do is when I'm calling like when I'm executing an outbound campaign within Apollo, is I'll look at um the contact, obviously, like, who it is, what their name is, what their title is. But I like to look at the company info as well, because I
Hmm.
find Apollo is really cool at sharing, okay, this company's been around for 5 years. They've got a seed round. Um, they've got an investment. They got this number of employees, etc. So all that information that provided right there in Apollo, you're able then to kinda use that in your calling, right? Whereas with other platforms, you may have to navigate to, maybe LinkedIn or Google or what have you, and then kinda do that research. Like, I wouldn't spend a ton of time on it, but at least just kinda read it and be like, "Oh, okay, well, this is now I know a little bit more about this company," and you
Right.
can use that in your call. I wouldn't recommend using it like in your opener, but like if you've got the person's letting you kind of have a conversation with them and they present an objection, you can use that information that you're able to glean from that little kind of snippet
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
Apollo to use in your conversation with the prospect, which can help move the conversation forward.
And I think they've got another the other piece I saw that was really cool was their buyer's intent.
Yeah, yeah, they've included some new features, the intent signals. I'm a real big fan of using intent signals when you
Yeah.
can. I create a lot of Google alerts around various topics, various
Ooh,
industries, and
I'm writing that
that's
note
always,
down.
yeah. So
That's always
that's
a good
always
one.
I've been doing that since for a long time now. It's really helped me and open some conversations, connect with people on LinkedIn because you use it in your invite, right? It'd be like, hey, I came across this article or I came across this mention of you or the company, right? Like you use it in
Yep.
context. So it's very helpful. And then, yeah, you can look, using the intent signals on Apollo, is someone looking for product service that you offer. And then the newer feature that they've come out with is, I forget what they call it, but it's basically,
Conversational intelligence.
yeah, well, they've got that, but they've also got their email writing. assistance. So it will help you. Their AIs help you kind of create some
Yeah.
email copy. So that's a cool feature as well that they've included.
Wow. I'm right. So me. All right. Quick one for those that are watching. Give me an example. So I did Google Alerts. I used to do. When I used it was semiconductors and IDSs, fabs, and foundries. Any new developments in there? What's an example of a Google Alert that you'd set up or tell people to set up?
Yeah. So one of the verticals that I really focus on, and the persona I focus on is co-founders, but also software as a service. So it is kind of a very broad industry and topic, but
Hmm.
it was back in just before Christmas, I believe it was, maybe November. Um, I was, I got an alert, Google alert, and I was reading it, and it was about a company that's in the hospitality space, and they
Yeah.
were just launching a new product. So I went searched them on LinkedIn, noticed okay, they look like they're within kind of the range of company that I can help. And I reached out to the founder on LinkedIn, sent the personalized invite, including, came across this article about your new product. Yeah, accepted the invite, and we had a call booked for later that week. And then we had a discovery. I think it was like 2 weeks later, or something like that. We had a discovery call, and it's now in a nurtured state. But like that was I don't know, two kind of two-step process just based off of like a not even a 5-minute read over morning coffee.
Well, there you have it. There you have it. 4 golden nuggets, which include the sale, which is Google Alerts. Type in your industry, type in maybe a change that you're looking for, an hiring change, a job change. In Apollo, using the company information along with those intent signals can definitely speed up that. And then like 30, 50, 30 to 40, 50,000 views. So, look, Martin, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be on the show with me and share those gems of wisdom. And I do hope to have you on the show again. Is there anything else that you'd like to say? How can people contact you or reach out to you?
Yeah, people can find me on LinkedIn. Just search the Outbound Sales Guy. Follow the hashtag the Outbound Sales Guy. I try and post a lot of content, although the busier I'm getting seems to be more of a challenge. But always connect and follow with me there, and I'm always responsive. So I will respond to you and see if you want to set up a time to chat offline, because I believe in getting to connect and know people from behind the screen. Although
Absolutely.
there's ends up being on Zoom, so I don't know how much off the screen it kind of turns into me, but I think people know what I mean. Like you're not just typing
Yeah.
back and forth.
No, of course. I understand that. So again, thank you very much, guys, whoever is watching this, and therefore the very few that aren't, subscribe, like, and put the notification button. It does help us in a massive way. And then we'll see you on the next one.